Hi, welcome back to another episode of Thinking Inside the Box on Noah's Ark. Today we're going to talk about Varispeed tape effects and how you can recreate them in the box. So a lot of recordings in the 60s and 70s used that effect to create some interesting pitch shifting and formants effects. So one of the most famous use of this Varispeed effect is on the Beatles track called In My Life from the 1965 album Rubber Soul, where George Martin played a piano solo on the bridge, and that solo was recorded at half speed and an octave lower, and then on playback they doubled the speed of the tape, and consequently the piano part was an octave higher and twice as fast. So it gives this kind of almost harpsichord quality to the sound. So one of the early adopters of this Varispeed technique is the inventor of multi-track recording, none other than Les Paul. And Les Paul used this technique to record a lot of fast guitar licks and stacking them up on top of each other. And he did that by recording that at half speed. You can hear that effect on the 1948 track called Lover. But one of the weirdest uses of Varispeed effects is on Led Zeppelin's 1972 album Houses of the Holy, where Robert Plant's vocals were sped up or slowed down in order to give a different tonal quality to his voice. And you can hear that effect on The Song Remains the Same or The Ocean, to name a few songs. So why is Varispeed such an interesting effect to hear? So when you change the tape speed, you obviously shift the pitch of the sound source, but you also shift everything that goes with it, so the harmonics and the formants. This is why you can't recreate that by just playing faster or playing an octave higher, because the original characteristics of the sound are changed, and it gives this kind of unnatural quality to the sound. On another note, Varispeed can also be used to fan up some hand claps or percussion, and that's a common technique used by hip-hop artists and samplers. So I'm going to show you how you can start from this thin single clap sound to a fat, usable sample of hand claps in the DW. So let's get started. Cool, so here I am in Pro Tools with some hand claps that were recorded. So first let's listen to one of the tracks. So it sounds really thin, and since it's only one person clapping, there's not a lot of things going on. So what I did first is I've double tracked 9 times actually the clap to make it as though there's more people in the room. So let's listen to that. So already it sounds more realistic with a lot more people involved in the hand claps, but it's still really thin and high-pitched. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to activate elastic audio, and we're going to choose the Varispeed mode, which mimics the tape effect that we want. Varispeed mode is the only one that's going to pitch shift at the same time of time stretching, so like in real life. So let's click that, and since it's in a group, it's going to activate that to all the claps. And the processing is done, so we're going to go next to the clip menu, elastic properties. So this is going to allow us to time stretch. So I'm going to change the TCE factor to 200%, meaning it's going to be twice as long. So half the speed, basically. If I enter, that's going to process the tracks. And let's listen to the half-speed version of that. So if this is the pitch we want, what we do next is we're going to disable elastic audio. And when we're going to disable that, it's going to ask us whether we want to commit that or revert. So let's commit that change. Then we're going to have our Varispeed version of the claps. But the problem here is that it's twice as long and not at the same tempo, right? So we want to have the same tempo, but the different pitch. So let's go back into elastic audio and let's select another algorithm that's going to pitch shift at the same time. So hence, when you're going to shrink the time, it's going to keep the pitch. So let's select rhythmic because this is a percussive sound source. And we're going to go back to elastic properties. And then now, this time, we're going to do 50%. So that's going to put it back to the time frame we had, but without changing the pitch. Well, actually, it is changing the pitch, but it's keeping it the same, basically. So let's play that version. So there you go. Now you have the same tempo, the same time frame, but the pitch is way down. So that's how you do Varispeed hand claps. So that's it. I hope you liked this very short history on a Varispeed tape effect and how you can use that in the DAW. So if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel. And if you haven't seen my past videos, I invite you to do so. And I'll see you next time for another video.